You know, I wonder sometimes if the London parties actually care about the consequences of austerity and what those consequences actually mean to people. When there are 23 millionaires in the cabinet and 7 in the shadow cabinet, what can they really know about austerity? Because they don't have to live with austerity, do they? The disabled person in Wrexham being reassessed yet again for their disability benefit. They could tell them quite a bit about austerity. They could tell them about the panic, the depression, and the thought of suicide that plagued them, all thanks to this government's immoral agenda of slashing welfare payments. And what have these people done to deserve this torment? They're not the bankers who nearly bankrupted the UK. They're not the MPs who've been cheating their expenses, or the big companies and the wealthy individuals evading and avoiding tax. In Kaya Park, where I live, many people already struggle with in-work poverty and low wages, with child poverty, fuel poverty. Life is already hard, but this government, the London parties, and the Westminster elite with their austerity consensus, they've hit hard even there, and they only promise worse to come. Maybe one of the millionaires from the cabinet could explain, perhaps, why we're losing community centres, leisure services, youth services, and libraries, why the poor, women, and the disabled are hit disproportionately hard by these cuts, when at the same time, 120 billion is lost every year in tax evasion and tax avoidance. Maybe they could explain why all these cuts are so necessary, yet all the London parties voted to spend £100 billion renewing Trident nuclear weapons. Labour promised more cuts to Wales of over £1 billion over the next 5 years. The Tories are promising almost 3 times that. But what sort of choice is cuts or more cuts? You know, the red and blue Tories may as well form their grand coalition and have done with it. What choice is there actually for the people of Wales between the Tories, Labour, the Lib Dems, or even UKIP? Because the reality, as we all know, is that they're all cut from the same cloth. Plaid Cymru's vision is totally different. Our vision isn't austerity, but prosperity. Because despite what the Westminster elite would like us to believe, austerity is not necessary. Austerity is not the cure to recession. Austerity isn't even an effective way to pay down the deficit. It's a policy choice, and it's the wrong choice. Aside from causing untold suffering and being morally reprehensible in the way it's being implemented, austerity is also a complete failure because it hasn't reduced the deficit as planned, and it's not sustainable. UK debt currently stands at 1.4 trillion, and it's rising every day. Plaid Cymru MPs will demand that austerity is abandoned for the ineffective and immoral policy that it is. With our sister party, the SNP, and the Greens in England, we will form an anti-austerity alliance. We want the kind of politics that protects our communities when they need it the most, instead of immoral policies that snipe from the gutter at those least able to defend themselves. If there must be cuts, cut where there will be the least harm. Cut wasteful spending like Trident, and of course, make the rich pay their fair share in taxes. Invest in infrastructure to grow the economy and implement a living wage. We want a pay rise for 250,000 Welsh workers. Give people the opportunity to lift themselves out of poverty. We will also demand parity with Scotland on powers and on funding so that we can invest an additional 1.2 billion in Welsh public services every year. This is what Plaid Cymru believes in, and this is what we will fight for at Westminster. And here in Wales, we want a renewal of the political system, of democracy, where the people of Wales do have a say, where we do have a voice, and where the people of Wales are the priority, because this is not as good as it gets. We can and we will create 50,000 new jobs across Wales through ensuring more public contracts go to local firms. We will boost our economy, taking 70,000 Welsh businesses out of paying business rates altogether. We'll focus on a long-term vision to grow our economy and to build our nation, based on the values of fairness, equality, and above all, honesty with the people that we've been elected to represent. A tipping point has been reached, as I'm sure you've all seen and felt for yourselves across Wales, and it's been building now for a number of years, as more and more people have become disillusioned and disconnected from the political world altogether. And who can really blame them? In the past, I've looked at so many communities across my hometown and despaired at the amount of disengagement and what has felt like a sullen acceptance of the status quo. But there's no doubt that that is starting to change. What was once a reluctant apathy is bit by bit transforming into restlessness for a renewal of the political system. We do indeed have a chance at this election to make sure Wales is heard. We have a window of opportunity to be leaders for our communities and for our nation, to offer a clear vision of what the alternative is and what a better Wales looks like. I sincerely believe that we do have the right way forward, and I believe that because our priorities are not the bankers who wreck the economy, then take a bailout, and then give themselves millions of pounds in bonuses. Our priority is the needs of our communities here in Wales. I also believe it because we don't answer to the corporations or to big business. We answer to the people of Wales. And finally, our loyalty is not to this London elite. Our loyalty is and always will be to the people of Wales. It's time now for us to go out there and to show our communities the possibilities we have ahead, to give the people of Wales something to believe in, and above all, to make sure that they believe in themselves. Diolch yn fawr iawn.